our social power is taking great care to create images of psychopaths. While these are all true versions of malevolent psychopaths, serial killers, rapists, pedophiles, and murderers are extremely rare and have very few victims. There are more common psychopaths that prey upon our society that we need to be aware of. There are two different versions of primary psychopaths. The first is distempered primary psychopaths. These are the violent predators that do not respond to punishment. The second kind of primary psychopath is the charismatic kind. They are able to live the big lie. Next to primary psychopaths, there are secondary psychopaths. These secondary psychopaths are also categorized between the distempered and the charismatic psychopath. The distempered secondary psychopath is the risk taker, but it fears actually being caught. This distempered secondary psychopath is the risk taker that creates violence, but actually fears being caught. The charismatic secondary psychopath is able to tell the small lie and live with it. The common factor in all of them is that they are hurt or deranged people who seek control over others. They do not sense or care to sense others' emotions and actually get a high off of their antisocial actions. Despite what the media says, they exist in all cultures, races, and socioeconomic levels, very much like how left-handed people are dispersed throughout all levels of society. The media usually only has us focus on the lower-class violent psychopath to scare you. They never focus on the very real psychopath that is much more common. Just because they have a nice car and a nice job does not mean that you're not dealing with a psychopath. Psychopaths actually thrive in collective environments and are common at the top of most power structures, including corporate, government, and religious organizations. To the psychopath, the lie is their primary weapon. The lie is the justification in their head that they have the right to cause harm. The lie is what ensnares the victims. Lying is as natural as breathing for them. They have no physiological reactions when lying, like an increased heartbeat, sweating, or blushing. When caught in the lie, they just create more lies. There are different levels of psychopaths. The most common and benign form of psychopath is the narcissist. They are full of self-love to the point that they do not recognize emotions or feelings in others. They need a constant fix of adoration or attention, or they become angry or despondent. There are two types of narcissists: the sexual or somatic narcissist, obsessed with their looks, and that uses sex as a tool to get what they want. They can be health nuts, hypochondriacs, or sexually addictive people. They lead shallow lives and often fill the void with new thrills. The other kind of narcissist is the cerebral narcissist. They love their own minds. They are arrogant, condescending know-it-alls who talk down to you. They seek awards and recognition from their peers. Narcissists use others as a means to their own gratification and often dump those that no longer suit their needs. They always take and never give unless it is bait for something else they want. The victim is the next type of psychopath. Mostly female, this psychopath preys on the weakness they see in others: sympathy. They look weak and pitiful to garner attention and sympathy. The real reason is to lower the guard of the intended victim. They use sex as a hook to juggle multiple victims into tangled relationships. This is done to drain the victim of energy and money until they serve no purpose, at which time they just leave. Another type of psychopath is the con artist. They use their excellent lying capabilities to cheat others. They are the consummate salesperson that are driven by money, and they could care less if people love them or not. Lower intellect or lower ambition con artists do short cons for quick money. Higher intellect and higher ambition con artists tell the big lie over long periods. The thing that is common in both of these cons, they take something that has no intrinsic value and inflate the perceived value to sell it to the victims, and then they run. These schemes can grow large enough to take down the entire world economy, as we will see later. It is not Hannibal Lecter you should fear. It is the modern psychopath like Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff stole $50 billion and had over 4,000 direct victims and hundreds of thousands of indirect victims. Entire family fortunes were lost, and there were a lot of suicides. And yet he has no real remorse about what he had done. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive a treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable, for he is known and he carries his banners openly. But the traitor moves among those within the gate freely, his sly whispers rustling through all the galleys, heard in every hall of government itself. For the traitor appears not a traitor. He speaks in the accents familiar to his victims, and he wears their face and their garment. He appeals to the baseness that lies deep in the hearts of all men. He rots the soul of a nation. He works secretly and unknown in the night to undermine the pillars of a city. He infects the body politic so that it can no longer resist. A murderer is less to be feared. Cicero, 42 BC. The final psychopath is the professional psychopath. This is the most destructive of all psychopaths. Like the malevolent psychopath that's so prevalent in our media, they think of nothing of killing. They just never do the acts themselves. The malevolent psychopath may only kill a few dozen. The professional psychopath in a suit can kill millions. There are 3 kinds of these professional psychopaths. The first is the political psychopath. They can lie and make the biggest promises. They are charismatic and cunning, and they have a distinct advantage over non-psychopaths that will not kill to get ahead. They can put on whatever face to get whatever power they want. Once they have power, they can become ruthless. They create situations for war, or give the orders to kill without mercy or remorse.
We came, we saw, he died. Did it have anything to do with your visit? No, I'm sure it did.
Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot, Dick Cheney. The next kind is the religious psychopath. From the bloody sacrifices of Aztec priests, the Spanish Inquisitions, the Crusades, and other religious wars in the name of peace, religion is another form of power that attracts the psychopath. The final and most powerful one is the absolute psychopath. Even more disturbing is the men that are behind the politicians that fund the wars, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. Just because they are more polished and respected does not mean that they are not narcissistic, cunning, and vicious as other psychopaths. Bernie Madoff is nothing compared to the true elite that commit global crimes including mass genocide, generational slavery, and the theft of the wealth of nations.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
We hang petty thieves and appoint great ones to high office. Aesop.